Hi, welcome to EASYCYBERSEC, the best cybersecurity training. In this video, we are going to hack into a live box. From this video, your main takeaway is to understand how an attacker's mindset works, how quickly he thinks, and how he looks for information. That is his curiousness, how curious he is in finding information from around, from all the sources which are possible to him. Now, going forward, our target is at IP 10.10.10.152. As we have already seen in our network hacking classes, first we have to make sure if this target is up or not, for which we will ping the target first. -C1 will send only one ping packet. This is not to generate much traffic so that you don't get caught with the network IDS or IPS solutions. And now you can always change the number of packets by giving 1 or -C1 or -C2. If ICMP is blocked, you can also use a tool called rping, but you have to be in the same LAN to use this tool. Right now, I am not in the same LAN. Going forward, I am now going to do a port scan on the target. Port scan, as I've told you, is to understand what all services the target has, for which I'm using the tool called ZenMap. ZenMap is the graphical version of the most famous tool, Nmap. Nmap runs on command line. To make it easy for us, ZenMap runs graphically, so we'll stick to that. And now, if you can see, I'm entering the target IP, and then -P, I'm going to enter the number of ports we need to scan. It's always advised to scan all the ports, so I'm typing 1265535. Now, since we are recording for a class and full port scan will take some time. So to keep it short, we are going to scan the default top 1000 ports, and Nmap is scanning. As you can see, Nmap is already coughing out some output. It says some ports are open: 21, 139, 445, 135 and 80. From our previous understanding, we know that port 21 is for FTP, 139 is for NetBIOS, 445 is also for file sharing SMB, 135 RPC and 80 for HTTP, that is your web services. If you see, after scanning the ports, Nmap is also trying to find out which operating system is behind this. You always have to give the initial command as -A if you want to find out the operating system also. Now, Nmap has finished scanning. Looking back at our output, it tells us what all ports are open: 21, 139, 445, 135, 80. We have an idea of what these ports belongs to, so that opposite box, right? For example, now when you see port 139 and 445, these ports will mostly be open only on Windows boxes. So now we get a rough idea that it's in Windows. Now, let us enumerate the service one by one. Okay, enumerate as in, now we will go to every port, access it with the right client and try to find out if there is any juicy information for us inside each port. Firstly, let us use the tool enum for Linux. This is used to enumerate the port 445 and port 139. Now, it is by default installed in Linux. All you have to do is enter enum for Linux -A and give the target and hit enter. Now this will enumerate. Similarly, there are tools to enumerate FTP, tools to enumerate port 135, tools to enumerate port 80. Now, just for an understanding, just to know how an attacker approaches a target, from this scan, enum for Linux is not going to yield any big results for this particular host, but it might yield big results for any other host. If you come to the right, you can see that Nmap has found the OS version. It says it's Windows. Now it has also accessed the ports by itself and tried to find out what is inside it. It says that anonymous FTP login is allowed, okay, which is a big weakness. And then port HTTP has a web server running in it, port 80, and now the others are Microsoft related services. Now let's try to enumerate port F21, that is FTP port, manually. So FTP client I'm going to use for it. This is not by default installed in Kali, so you can install it using this way, apt-get install and the client name FTP. Once that is done, type FTP and then the target IP. It's asking for username, password. You can type in anonymous and anonymous. Many FTP services by default, you can enter this username and password and gain access to it. Okay, boom, we have logged in. Now let us see how this thing works. Firstly, I'm going to do an ls, which means list all the files. I can also do an dir. Both will work since the opposite is an Windows box. Dir will work. ls is by default, it's Linux command, so it gets converted automatically. Now we are going into every folder. We are opening Windows, and then we can see some lot of files. It's very interesting, lot of files, but it will take some time for us to go through all these files one by one. So we will come back to this later. Just keep it in mind that we have this vulnerability which can be exploited. We can get access to some files. Next we'll go to our port 80. Okay, now port 80, as you know, is for web applications, that is websites. Now this we usually access through the browser, but firstly, to make things easy, we access it through the terminal. This will give us a very clear output of the HTTP requests and responses, for which I use the tool called curl. All these have been covered in my basics class of web applications. And now going forward, we see there's some data from the web server, and now we get something called as the server header, response header, which says it is PRTG 18.1.37.139. This is very interesting information to us. Every time we know a service on the other side and its related version, it is very useful for us to find exploits and related weaknesses. It makes our job so much more easy. Now I access the same IP port 80 through our web browser. You can see that it has some service running, PRTG network monitor, and then you're looking for some user login name, and then it is looking for a password, and then I'm trying to explore other functionalities of the site. Login we can try to attack the login panel and gain access into it. If not, you can explore the other functionalities such as forgot password, need help is there, download client software. So many functionalities are there. Now this login panel, why we have to see all the functionalities is because we have to map it to relevant vulnerabilities. For example, in a login panel, I can type an SQL injection. If there was a vulnerability, SQL injection vulnerability, I can log into it. If not, I can brute force it. And now when you see an application, the attacker's first move should be to try to break into the login. Now, as I said, you could have used SQL injection and you could have tested for others, but it's going to take a while. The easiest way is to find out the default credentials used for the application. Now, this PRTG application might have some default credentials. Let's check for it. This is similar to your switches and all. For example, Cisco switches have the username password as Cisco, or your TP-Link has a username passwords as admin. So those things we can check first. Now it says it's PRTG admin. Let us type in those PRTG admin and password also as PRTG admin. Logging in. Oh, it has failed. We were not able to log in with the default password. So now we have to make two things sure. We have to know if the username is right, and the password, we have to guess the right password. So if you go to the forgot password functionalities of many sites, if you enter a correct username, it will give you a different response. If you enter a wrong username, it will give you a different response, with which we can know if the username is valid or not. Example, I'm entering Batman. If you look at the response, it says, sorry, this account is unknown. Okay. And now if I enter the right username, you can see we have a different response. We have sent an email. It says, now we can be very sure that the username is PRTG admin only. Now all next is left is to find out the right password. You can always try brute force and other stuff. But until then, since we from that curl we got the output of the server version, right, 18.1.3, let us paste it in a browser and search for some relevant vulnerabilities, or if already know if people have cracked in the username password or something like that. Let's go through some mainly the best place to look is their own development documents for the users to understand how it works. It's more like the user manual which we get with every new product. Now just entering into their manual, let the most important section for us is the PRTG administration tools. Okay, there are so many sections, but we cannot waste time on every section. So let's quickly find the crown jewels, the most valuable ones, which would be understanding basic concepts and stuff and etc. But in the documentation, upon this is like the user manual which we get when we get a new phone and stuff, etc. It's same for all softwares also. You can see many nice sections. Important things for us will be administration tools, and then understanding basic concepts. All this will be very useful to us, because as an attacker we need to understand the target well, right? Now next up, we can always go through the document. Until then, let us look for exploit.